Well, hello and welcome to my session on mental health in the workplace. The well-being of the nation is a hot topic, but not only in the physical sense, but also the hidden menace that has unfortunately contributed to over 400 construction workers taking their lives each year down to mental health. My name is Brian Parker. I'm a business development manager for the AFI group of companies, and I'm also a mental health first aid instructor under the MHFA England. So today we're going to look at what is mental health, what types are they, good and bad, and also, in terms of mental health, what about you for your mental health? Okay, this presentation essentially is taken off the Building Mental Health Toolkit. I've modified it a little bit to make it a little bit more shorter for today's presentation, but hopefully to give you a bit of an insight into some of the aspects that affect us. So if we just look at some of the statistics that we can see, each year there are approximately 38 fatalities on construction sites. There are over 2,000 major accidents which people cannot return to their work, or they're incapacitated in such a way that makes returning to work impossible. There are over 82,000 cases of work-related ill health which can directly be attributed to working in the construction sector. There are nearly half of all occupational cancers attributed directly to working in construction, and over 2.4 million working days lost through injury, illness in our industry. It comes as no surprise then that stress, depression and anxiety accounts for a fifth of all work-related illnesses. And like I said earlier, every single working day in the UK, 2 construction workers unfortunately take their own life. Their statistics for the construction sector, and I'm mindful of this webinar is potentially available to other sectors too. There are statistics out there in terms of warehousing, banking, nursing, doctors, pharmaceuticals, offshore. All these sectors have their unfortunate issue of people taking their own lives due to mental health issues. So really sort of asking yourself and raising a bit of awareness of a significant issue in our industry, and this is about promoting a process really to start the conversation. So ask yourself, what things can be the causes of stress and pressure in your life? If you think about these things at work, what things cause you stress and pressure? Some people believe that they don't have any stress and pressure, and I've spoken to these people in the past. Sometimes it's braver to come out and say that you do have stress and pressure. Equally, I appreciate some people won't open up about them sort of things, but we do have stresses and we do have pressures at work, and various things can affect these. Equally, we also have stress and pressure outside of work too. We may have stress outside of work, thinking about work, and vice versa. These are all things that do affect us day in and day out. But how does that make you feel? And what effects does that have on the people that are around you? These all affect the way that we feel. Now, in terms of in films, I'm going to show you a couple of films, and the next one is quite a strong film. I make no apologies for the fact that some people find this difficult to watch, but certainly for myself, I think it's a very, very powerful film.
I had a black dog. His name was Depression. Whenever the black dog made an appearance, I felt empty and life just seemed to slow down. He could surprise me with a visit for no reason or occasion. The black dog made me look and feel older than my years. When the rest of the world seemed to be enjoying life, I could only see it through the black dog. Activities that usually brought me pleasure suddenly ceased to. He liked to ruin my appetite. He chewed up my memory and my ability to concentrate. Doing anything or going anywhere with the black dog required superhuman strength. At social occasions, he'd sniff out what confidence I had and chase it away. My biggest fear was being found out. I worried that people would judge me. Because of the shame and stigma of the black dog, I was constantly worried that I'd be found out. So I invested vast amounts of energy into covering him up. Keeping up an emotional lie is exhausting. Black Dog could make me think and say negative things. He could make me irritable and difficult to be around. He would take my love and bury my intimacy. He loved nothing more than to wake me up with highly repetitive and negative thinking. He also liked to remind me how exhausted I was going to be the next day. Having a black dog in your life isn't so much about feeling a bit down, sad or blue. At its worst, it's about being devoid of feeling altogether. As I got older, the black dog got bigger and he started hanging around all the time. I'd chase him off with whatever I thought might send him running. But more often than not, he'd come out on top. Going down became easier than getting up again. So I became rather good at self-medication, which never really helped. Eventually, I felt totally isolated from everything and everyone. The black dog had finally succeeded in hijacking my life. When you lose all joy in life, you can begin to question what the point of it is. Thankfully, this was the time that I sought professional help. This was my first step towards recovery and a major turning point in my life. I learned that it doesn't matter who you are, the black dog affects millions and millions of people. It is an equal opportunity mongrel. I also learned that there was no silver bullet or magic pill. Medication can help some, and others might need a different approach altogether. I also learned that being emotionally genuine and authentic to those who are close to you can be an absolute game changer. Most importantly, I learnt not to be afraid of the black dog, and I taught him a few new tricks of my own. The more tired and stressed you are, the louder he barks, so it's important to learn how to quiet your mind. It's been clinically proven that regular exercise can be as effective for treating mild to moderate depression as antidepressants, so go for a walk or a run and leave the mutt behind. Keep a mood journal. Getting your thoughts on paper can be cathartic and often insightful. Also keep track of the things that you have to be grateful for. The most important thing to remember is that no matter how bad it gets, if you take the right steps, talk to the right people, black dog days can and will pass. I wouldn't say that I'm grateful for the black dog, but he's been an incredible teacher. He forced me to reevaluate and simplify my life. I learnt that rather than running away from my problems, it's better to embrace them. The black dog may always be part of my life, but he'll never be the beast that he was. We have an understanding. I've learned through knowledge, patience, discipline and humour, the worst black dog can be made to heal. If you're in difficulty, never be afraid to ask for help. There is absolutely no shame in doing so. The only shame is missing out on life.
Okay, as I said, that was quite a strong film, and there are many in my arsenal of films to show, but I think that's personally a very, very good film and well put across. Okay, sources of stress. Now, as you can see, recognizing mental health issues is sometimes the first step in getting the support needed really to address and recover. And certainly some of the signs to look out for. Great posters around and available, and these are available in terms of resources, for example, at mhfaengland.org. But things like life-changing incidents such as accidents and bereavements, they have massive source of stress. But even down to relationships, health and physical scares, even down to leaving home, children leaving home, going to college or university, or unfortunately falling foul of the law for one or two reasons. What about emotional stress, such as peer pressure from other people, values and beliefs, but things at home, emotions within the family home that we all see and are subjected to. But then there's the physical stress that we unfortunately put ourselves through sometimes, late nights, time after time, or lack of routine instead of having a good night's sleep and getting plenty of rest. What about diet? It's easy to sort of eat food that's particularly not very good for you, but thinking about good diet and getting the right vitamins into your body and the right fluids, etc. But equally, binge drinking or using substances. These are all things that essentially physically stress us out. In terms of environmental, accommodation and housing, isolation and social, perhaps unemployment, but equally, adjusting to new environments. Some of it can be exciting, and moving house. Some of you have done that, or going on holiday. You'll know yourselves from being at the airport. It can be a stressful time, but equally debt as well. And that can have a huge amount of effect on us as people. And then this changes at work, starting a new job of which there's different responsibilities or different people, different companies, procedures, etc. Or what about, coping with perhaps increased workload or, getting a promotion, more expectation on you, and you want to do a good job and a great job. Equally as well, you may have, the relationships that you have with your colleagues and your managers and your peers and such may be strained. And of course, the fear of redundancy or redundancy itself, it can be, perhaps sources of stress. So I guess, what is mental health? Well, the fact is we all have it. It's a combination of the way we think, the way that we feel at a certain time, whether that's angry, happy, or sad. In fact, it's really our overall well-being, which is a huge mixture of some of the factors and many factors indeed. However, the fact still remains: we all have mental health in the same way we all have physical health. I think the only real difference is we have a better understanding of physical health, and it's easier to talk about it, show compassion and empathy. Whereas when we have, mental ill health, we find it difficult to open up in them sort of scenarios. Now, fame or fortune doesn't make you immune to mental ill health. It really doesn't matter how famous someone is, how much money they have, how talented they are or believe they are. Mental ill health can affect anyone, and these photographs here are testament to some of the celebrities that have actually come out there and said that they have suffered with mental ill health. But one of the biggest problems is that we don't talk about it, and that's down to really about part of our culture, all right, because it's a stigma. We believe that people with mental health problems are perhaps violent. People with mental health problems are perhaps weak. Wrongly assume that people with mental health problems cannot work, and often people have this thought that people with mental health problems will never recover. Unfortunately, some never do. That's because they don't go and get the appropriate help or the help at the right time. And people sometimes feel that mental health problems are often self-inflicted. You can see some of the words that we often associate, and with somebody who perhaps maybe is suffering with mental ill health, and that stigma itself is further reinforced by the media, in films and programs that we see on TV, but equally on social sectors, and forums such as Twitter and Facebook. But if you ask yourself honestly here today, listening to this, what do you feel when someone is showing mental ill health signs? Do you feel or do you think that they are weak? Do you often think that their problems have been self-inflicted, they've brought it on themselves? So, I've asked this question there, have you any experienced any of these points that I'm going to mention on the left-hand side? Have you been to the dentist appointment in the last year? I know I have. Been to a doctor's appointment past year? Yes, I have. I haven't taken any medication in the past year. And I've had, touch wood, I had no absence from work due to physical ill health. I would have no problems at all kind of mentioning that to any one of my colleagues, peers, and certainly my boss. But do you think, if we take your view on this, and you might be exactly the same as myself, you may have other things, you might not have had any of them points, but then we think, would it be just as easy to admit if you'd seen a mental health professional over the last year? You've been taking any psychiatric medications over the past year, or that you've been absent from work due to mental ill health? I definitely, I would perhaps definitely think that it's a lot more difficult to have the conversation on the right than it would be to have the conversation on the left. So we need to be looking for early signs of distress. And some signs of distress are things like, timekeeping, perhaps, maybe even just a bit of safety and risk taking. They don't normally do that. They're doing it now. Perhaps, that you've noticed a bit of alcohol and or drug misuse. And they're just not cooperating with you anymore. There's no, they're not there. But equally, they might be tired all the time. We talked about some of these, signs of stress earlier. Getting, out of routine and late nights, etc. Constantly. What about unexpected aches and pains? They may be quiet and they may be withdrawn from everyone else. They sit on their own. They don't interact, etc. Okay, but equally as well, the flip side of that, they may show, extremes of emotion, and them sort of things. So there's some of the signs of distress that we see, and some of them can be attributed with anxiety, and effects that we sometimes see in everyday life.
Did you still see him?
Yeah, tell me about it. Oi, oi, Jonesy. Saturday will go down in history. 4-0, mate. Oh, man, I'm still aching from the weekend. I need to swap with the keeper. What'd you get up to?
I spent the last 48 hours staring at a wall. Linda, she's gone and left me. The banks, well, they're moving in on the house, and my daughter, she barely speaks to me anymore. To be honest with you, mate, I think I'm this close to ending it all.
Hello, Gary. Good weekend?
Yeah. Pretty quiet. Just pottering, really.
Yeah. You look pretty exhausted. To be honest, I'm really worried about you, mate. You're not the usual lively Gary we're used to having around. You can talk to me. I've been there myself a while back. You should come down 30 this week. We're always looking for extra heads.
No.
Go on.
All right, maybe. I suppose you think you got the skills then, yeah?
No, mate. I'm crap. Actually, we're all pretty rubbish. But it's a good laugh.
Yeah, go on then.
Good man. Anyway, 4-0 with Jonesy, right? He's absolutely livid.
Was he?
Nutmegged him twice, and then he just got into a total strop.
Easy done though, right?
Easily done. It'd be great, mate. Put 5 past Jonesy this week, eh?
Perhaps there's even the chance there that he's had the chance to converse with him, has asked that somebody cares. He's got a huge amount of pressure and stress and worry and anxiety going on in his life. Various things that are happening. Perhaps some in his control, perhaps some out of his control. But somebody's actually taken the time there to sit down and talk to him. Perhaps could have made a huge change. So let's think then. There are many companies now working collaboratively on this huge issue, and they've worked and put together this mental health foundation to raise awareness and how to set the right environment to talk. But think about it then. What do you do if you are suffering with your mental health? Okay, do you get help? Do you suffer in silence? Do you approach somebody? What procedures and what systems has your businesses got? But what would you do if you think a workmate is also suffering with their mental health? Again, it's about doing the right thing, asking the question, being there for them, just sitting down and talking to them. So first of all, you're going to find a good place to talk, somewhere where they're not going to be, in terms of, embarrassed or, under pressure to talk when they don't want to talk. And sometimes just the fact that they want to talk or they'll blurt it all out, listen to them, reassure them that, they're not on their own, you are there for them. And just be there, because at that point in time, they probably think that nobody's actually there to help them. But equally, then we need to signpost them to the appropriate and appropriate help is important. Okay, so this appropriate help, what matter is important, and we are encouraging them to then seek the appropriate support. If you are unsure about where to signpost them to, use the Construction Industry Helpline. They're a fantastic organisation, and they're going to help or can help when you see somebody perhaps that's struggling. So I'll just show you this short video, this last video, and we'll then move on.
We all appreciate a little advice and support, even when things are going well. But what about the times when life doesn't follow your plans and events beyond your control affect your well-being? It might be the pressures of work, family, or financial concerns, ill health, or bereavement. Life's normal ups and downs can become overwhelming, making you feel trapped. But if you can access support quickly, these issues can be overcome, helping you and those close to you to get back on track. That's where we can help. The Lighthouse Construction Industry Charity provides a completely free and confidential 24/7 helpline for our construction workforce and their families, people just like you. As well as providing emergency financial assistance, we also offer practical and emotional support in areas such as health, mental well-being, and work life. Because we know that when one area of life is unsettled, it's likely that another could be too. We give advice on managing debt to restore your financial stability and help you understand any benefits that you're entitled to. We also help with well-being issues ranging from stress and anxiety to disability or ill health. We can even arrange legal support for family and employment issues. Our Construction Industry Helpline is funded by the industry for the industry, helping our people through times of crisis. Everything is in the strictest of confidence for you and your family, whether you're a current or former construction industry or allied trade worker. A helping hand can make all the difference, and there are a number of ways you can get the support you need today. Download our Construction Industry Helpline app for more information, advice, and guidance on how you can get the right support for you and your family. Call our Construction Industry Helpline on 0345 605 1956 and talk to someone who can help. Or visit our website, constructionindustryhelpline.com, for more information about how and where to get help.
Okay, great little animated video there. I think it's really good, quite informative, and gives you a lot of information. That number is key for people that are requiring help. But equally, we talk about things in terms of signposting for help. There are other organisations that we can use, and the Lighthouse Construction Industry Charity is dedicated to the welfare of all construction workers in the UK and Ireland, and have produced posters like these to put in canteens, workrooms, restrooms. In addition, you will hopefully receive the Construction Industry Helpline card that you can see there. For those of you not in the construction industry, you also yourselves may have an employee assistance program. We at AFI Group have an EAP, and that allows us then to make a confidential call to a practitioner, where we can then start getting the necessary support that we need. But equally, you might be on a large project, and there may be occupational nurses on site or therapists, but they're there, they're available, and use them. That's what they're there for. I think key as well is to remember that we may be very good for looking out for others, but it is vitally important that you also look after yourself too. So the app, great little app. I've got it on my phone every day, probably about 10:30 or something. It sends me a message. How are you feeling today? And you can react in whichever way you feel. So you'll get this there. You've got three options at the top, and obviously you've got the option at the bottom there. And you choose. If you choose the top one, it doesn't need to do anything else. However, if you choose the two middle ones, you're then going to get an option which I'll show you in a second. If you pick the bottom option, then that's going to direct you straight away to a telephone number to call, whether you can get the appropriate help very, very as soon as you can. But if you do choose the two in the middle, it's then going to give you the options, which in then turn, once you've pressed one of them buttons, will give you the indication as to what you might need, and it'll give you a bit of an idea as to perhaps where you can even self-help. ask the question: has anybody downloaded it? Are you aware of it? It's there. It's free, and it will give you a sort of barometer and how you're feeling. But I'm here really talking about as well looking after you, you yourself. It's fair to say we can all learn from the past, and we can also plan for the future. But the only place that we actually exist in is the here and now. So really, in truth, we need to be connected to the present. We need to talk and listen. We need to feel connected. Giving your time, your presence, your words to people that you love and are important to you is important. But also look up sometimes and take joy in your surroundings and where we are, the beautiful place where you live. Give new things a try. Remember that every day is a school day. Things do change, and you can learn a new skill or a hobby. And be active. Make time for the things you enjoy, and which will improve your mood. Me, certainly, as some of you that know me, I love me cycling. So I'm out on my bike. Nothing more I love, other than obviously being with family. Sometimes I'll take the wife with me on the bike ride too. Remember, the only person that you have to live with all your life is yourself. So make sure you enjoy being you. To summarize then, okay, we all have mental health. Good, bad. Some are better than other days. Some are worse than other days. It's balance. Mental health problems are common, even more in construction, and can affect anyone at any time. Stigma stops us talking, so let's break this stigma and get the conversation going. It takes courage to talk about how you really feel. So much courage. People are so brave, when they talk about, how they feel. And always look after your own mental health, and look out for others. Okay, there are a number of initiatives that's out there. So, in the construction sector, you might see there, for example, you can put the bronze sticker on your helmet, which means that you've had a toolbox talk delivered to you. You can have the silver sticker, which means you're a building mental health supporter. You're someone who can talk to, someone who can keep others safe. Or you can also have the gold sticker, which means that you're a mental health first aider. So hopefully you can see that and see how useful that will be. Okay. For us in AFI Group, of which we have got UTN training, we've got various sort of initiatives that are running this week, try and raise awareness, and certainly one of them is the 2-day mental health first aid training course, and this is for those wanting to become a certified mental health first aider for their organisation. Certificate holders will be able to recognise the signs and symptoms of common mental health illnesses and effectively guide a colleague towards the right help and the right support. Now, it is recommended that organisations have a similar number of mental health first aiders, to physical first aiders. Ideally, a different individual. Okay, so providing perhaps further resilience for colleagues in the workplace. And if you wish to book onto that course or get a bit of information about it, check out the UTN training website and you can get some information on there. Okay, equally, we're also marking Mental Health Week from the 13th to 19th of May with a week of information, advice, training and development for all our own employees. We'll also be using our media channels to communicate with our customers and the public to raise awareness of mental health and also tips for managing mental health in the workplace. And we are going to conclude this at the end of the week on the 17th of May with a 2019 charity fundraiser day, known as the AFI Big One, all right, the big fundraiser for 2019, raising money for the mental health charity Mind. So please, if you do see this, if you can dig your hands in your pockets, organisations too, if possible, where we can, we believe that as you can see there, Mind believe no one should have to face a mental health problem alone. Then that would be really, really appreciated. We've set an ambitious target there, and we would love nothing more than to be able to give that check over to Mind there, to certainly make a difference to people who are in dire need and need support. So that's the end of this mental health in the workplace session. I hope you found it useful and informative. My name's been Brian Parker, and I look forward to speaking to you on the next session. Thank you very much.